Welcome to the More Life Podcast, episode 27. Yep. This is probably going to be one of the most, if not the most powerful podcast we've had. We will have. Got my guy Joe with us.
Yes.
Top 1%. Bob Proctor, consultant. If no one knows who Bob Proctor is, get to know. So Joe, if you want to introduce yourself, a little background of kind of like how you got into the work, and we'll just get straight into the sauce. I feel like this episode is going to change a lot of lives, especially if you apply what we're talking about.
Let's do it. When you say how I got into the work, how I became...
So What age were you when you got into it, and what even kind of just a little bit of
Background.
foreplay? Yeah, how did you get into it? Like
Foreplay. I love it. Yeah, well, I grew up on a council estate called Openshaw in Manchester. And there was, I mean, pretty much like every council estate, right? There weren't no opportunities and stuff like that. So for a long time, I was just on the streets, just doing nothing with my life. And like we were speaking about off camera, I met this woman who's now the mother of my children. And when I was at her house, I weren't spending as much time with the influences from my estate, from my area. And I picked up a book. I don't know why. Never seen anyone else read a book. I just must have, wanted more for my life, right? So I picked up the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then for some reason, I came across a book called Think and Grow Rich. And I still read it every single day. I don't read a lot of it, but I read at least a paragraph every single day. So when I came across Think and Grow Rich, for some reason, I came across this old man on YouTube shouting at me and telling me, you can do anything that you want, right? And to be honest, I didn't really believe it, but now I understand that the truth resonates. So for some reason, I kept watching it. I kept fascinating over it. Even though I was watching Bob on YouTube and I was reading Think and Grow Rich, I was still doing a job that I hated. I was doing modeling. From the outside, everyone would be like, oh, you're a model, that must be cool. Maybe for someone else, it wasn't my passion. Let's say that. And then I kept modeling because I was probably scared to leave it because I feared what other people would say if I left it. And I kept reading the books, but for some reason, my income didn't change. And I wanted more money, right? I thought if I made more money, all my problems would go away. Now I make money, you find out that's not really the case.
No.
So, I was doing everything Bob was kind of telling me to do. I was trying to discipline my thinking. I was trying to implement everything that I was learning. But I had to get really honest with myself and say something's missing, right? My results aren't changing. And in this time, I had people reach out to me, we can help you, And I was like, no, I've got the books. I've got Bob on YouTube. I'll keep doing it. And then I had to get honest with myself and say, look, your results tell you where you're programmed, right? So I went on Bob Proctor's website, put in my email, put in my number. And a few days later, this guy called Cam, if you're watching this, you helped me so much. So Cam had it was a Zoom, it was a phone call. And he said, well, what's your goal? And at this point, I've got two little kids. I've got Esme and Elijah. And I'm in a position where some months I'm not booking modeling jobs. So my ex-partner at the time, my partner at the time, she was paying the rent, right? As a man, that ain't a nice feeling, right? But dissatisfaction is what moved me to book that call. So I booked the call with Cam, and Cam said, what's your goal? And I said, well, I'd love some money. I'd love to make 25K. And he said, what's the most you've earned in a year? Which we know Bob probably trained him to say, right? Tells where you're programmed. So I said, 15,000. And he said, well, that's a shit goal. He said, why don't you, he said, you already know how to make 15. Why don't you focus on turning your yearly income into a monthly income? I didn't believe I could do that. Not at all. But for some reason, I believed that Cam believed it, right? Now I've known with sales and stuff, people aren't buying your product. They're buying whether you believe that you can get them the result or not, right? But at that time, I didn't know nothing about sales, nothing about business, nada. So he's told me about this mentorship. I believe it was like $8,000, $10,000. And I said, well, I ain't got the money. And he was kind of like, well, obviously, that's why you booked the call. That's why we're on the call, right? And then that's when he done a great job of coaching me on decision making. He said, you don't need the money until you made the decision that you're going to do it. He said, when you make a decision, you find the money every single time. So I said, okay, I'm going to find the money, right? I think, and I could be wrong, but I think I had about £1,700 in rather Bitcoin or Ethereum that was just stuck there. So I thought, I'm going to withdraw that. Can you help me out with a payment plan? He helped me out with a payment plan. It was a 12-month mentorship. and the advice that I put on a goal card, and I still carry it now, and I will for the rest of my life, right? He told me to put on a goal card. I am so happy and grateful now that I've turned my yearly income into a monthly income. And he said, just keep looking at it. You're going to think it's silly. And then after a while, you're not going to think it's silly. Then you're going to start to believe it, and then you're going to watch it manifest. So I'm like, okay, I'm losing anyway, so let me just do what this guy tells me to do, right? Listening to Bob on the videos, going through the program, and he was right. Before it, I was always thinking about not having money. And now, because I was reading the goal card, I started thinking about what I want. What did I want? So I'm sat in bed one day and I'm stimulating my mind over the fact of what would it be like to actually earn 15K a year? What would that feel like, right? It was like I had this voice come into my head, build an online fitness company that operates all around the world. I didn't know how to do it. I'm in great shape myself, but I've not got no qualifications, didn't know anything about calories or anything like that, right? But I knew I didn't need to. I just needed to make a decision the same way that I got on the mentorship. So I started fantasizing over the idea. I started thinking about it more. And then my little sister, Bobby, she's got a boyfriend called Damien, so I reached out to him. I was reading $100 million leads or offers. And Alex Hormozy's talking about if you've never sold a product, get 5 people, make sure they donate £100 to charity so they're invested, and tell them you got a testimonial at the end and you'll do it for free. So I've done that. Long story short, 5.5 months later, the online fitness company with no ads, no team, just me, was bringing in £18,000 a month. It was crazy, right? So now I'm in Disneyland with my kids. I'm in Dubai with my kids. I'm spending fucking £500 on a steak. And I'm thinking to myself, this is crazy. Like, do you know about child benefits? Yeah. My mum, when I was younger, she used to get £60 a month for each child. For child benefits. I used to beg her for that money. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. So I could go town on the bus and get a £60 pair of trainers. And here I am in Dubai, at fucking Salt Bay's restaurant, with my kids spending £500 on a steak, right? It was crazy. A beautiful apartment, top floor apartment. So same thing happened again, kind of with the idea of the online fitness company. I'm sat in bed and I'm thinking, what has happened? This is big. And I knew what it was. I'd been studying me every single day. And if I wanted to change my results, I had to change me. And that's what I did. So I had that same voice come into my head. You got to go and teach this. Don't just study Bob, go and work with him. I didn't know you could become a consultant. I didn't know any of that. 2 a.m. in Dubai. Cam's from Canada, so it must have been quite early where he was. We ended up on a phone call. I'm like, how do I teach this material? I need people to experience the results that I've been experiencing. How do I teach it? So he spoke about how you can become, a consultant. You've got to go through extensive training, go through the modules, learn how to facilitate the program, which I take people through, which was designed by Bob and Sandy, called Thinking into Results. So I went through that extensive training, but same thing again. When they told me the amount of how to become a consultant, I didn't know how to get that amount of money. I knew I wanted it. And if you want something, if you desire that much, you will always find a way. I always say to people, when I'm having calls with people, I always say, how much do you want it? How much do you really want it, right? If something was happening to my daughter or my son right now, I'd tear the world would get tear up. Well, you got to want that for what you want as well. You got to want it as much as you want to breathe, right? So, that was 18 months ago. Now I've helped people hit, 30,000s in a day, £40,000 in a month. I was doing okay with the online fitness company myself, making money. But once I hit my financial goals, I realized that you shouldn't really go to work for money. You should go to work for satisfaction. And now I'm doing what I love, and top 1% of Bob Proctor's consultants worldwide, man.
It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
Beautiful, right?
So you say thinking into results.
Yes.
Most people think that's fucking mental, and they don't really understand it. I look at quite neuroscience kind of psychological lens. I do look at the metaphysical kind of lens that you look through as well.
Mm-hmm.
You would agree that's metaphysical, isn't it?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
So for people watching, how do thoughts turn into things through the lens of Bob Proctor and what you teach?
Yes, sometimes people say to me like, oh, Joel, that thinking stuff again, right? And I say that thinking stuff is very important. That thinking stuff created this microphone, created everything that we see around us right now, right? So some people out there are very logical thinkers, very strategic thinkers. So the way I break it down to them is say, okay, well, let's take your income for example, right? You'd have to agree with me that your actions, your business activities are what produce your income. Would you agree? Yeah? Well, then we've got to ask, okay, well, we've got to go deeper. Where do our actions come from? Well, our actions come from our feelings. They come from what we're emotionally involved with. If we're emotionally involved with a bad idea, the body's just an instrument of the mind. Whatever the mind tells the body to do, the body's going to do, right? So, okay, we want to improve our results, whether it's our health, whether it's our relationships, whether it's our income. I personally love helping people make more money. It's just nothing like it because of what it done for me, right? But okay, your income comes from your business actions, your daily habits, right? But habits are nothing but ideas that are fixed inside your subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind is the emotional mind. So the subconscious mind doesn't think, it feels, right? So our results stem from our actions stem from our feelings, and our feelings come from our thinking. So when people want to change their results, I always say to them, there's one thing that you've got to change, and that's your thinking. The only difference between a business owner making £25,000 a month and someone making £250,000 a month is their thinking, their level of awareness. Because whether we're religious or, we believe in science, they're the only two sources of reference that we can go to. And if we ask them, what are we capable of? They can't tell us. They just say, you have infinite potential and you have infinite potential. Think about that word, infinite. So you are capable. If you can hold it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. It's done for a process. It's just done through these universal principles. And I think the one that I love and I really focus on, all of them are equally important, but it's the law of vibration. I think that's a very powerful one. But the thoughts trigger feelings, feelings produce actions, and actions produce results.
Yep. Why is the law of vibration relevant? What does that entail?
Yeah. Well, most people in the manifestation industry, they know about the law of attraction, right? The secret, right? Like what Bob said, though, a lot of people on The Secret didn't know what he was talking about, The Secret doesn't talk about action, for one. Doesn't talk about action. It's a great book. I'm glad it's helped so many people bring awareness to the law of attraction. But the law of attraction is a secondary law. The primary law is the law of vibration, because it's the vibration that your body's in that's dictating what you attract, right? I work very hard. I love working. I could go again and I go again and I go again. I could never stop working if I felt like it, right? But working hard alone is not going to bring you the results. I've traveled up from Manchester to Scotland, right? I said, where's the podcast studio, right? You sent me the podcast studio address. When I clicked on that address and it went onto Google Maps, that's just a frequency. If you would have sent me the wrong address, it don't matter how fast I drove the S4, right? I'm never going to get to that destination because you sent me the wrong frequency, right? So obviously action has to be took, but it has to be inspired action. And we also have to convince our subconscious mind that we already have everything that we want.
So the law of attraction is a secondary law to the law of vibration. Law of vibration says everything vibrates. You said
Correct.
It's whatever frequency or vibration your body is vibrating on, that will align with a corresponding frequency and then bring things that align with that frequency into your life. How does someone align their vibration with the life that they want?
That's a great question. I'd give them 2 action steps that if they apply will be a game changer. One is get a goal card. If you don't have one, you can more than happy to reach out to me. I'll give you the PDF. But in simple terms, it's just a card. I put mine in a sleeve so it's protected. And you want to write in present tense, I am so happy and grateful now that and then put your income goal. That's what I would personally do. But it has to be a big goal, man. Don't play around with small goals. The reason why most people don't reach the goals is because they set A-type or B-type goals, right? The real purpose of a goal isn't to get the house, to buy the boat, to buy the watch, to buy your missus a ring. The real purpose of a goal is for you as a human being to grow, right? Now, an A-type goal is something that we know how to do. So that's like a person making 10K a month, setting a goal to make 10K a month, right? They already know how to do that. Now, if the real purpose of a goal is to grow, is that individual going to grow by going after a goal like that? They're not, right? Pardon me. Now, where most people are is they set B-type goals. They go after a goal that they think they can do. If they work a bit harder, if they've got an amazing plan, if everything goes right, this is what I think I can do. But there's no inspiration. in a B-type goal. So we get going, we lose inspiration, and we give up, we quit, right? My clients all have to set C-type goals. That's something that you want. Not what you think you can do, not what you know you can do. If you had all the tools and the resources, everything at your hand, what would you really want, right? Now, if we look at Jesus, if we look at Buddha, I mean, I'm not preaching religion here. I'm not qualified to do so. But if we look at Marcus Aurelius, all these wise men and these prophets, right, they disagreed on pretty much everything apart from one thing. And that one thing is that we become what we think about, right? Now, we are creatures of habit, and we have this thing called a paradigm. And a paradigm is just a mental programming that has almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior. Now, if you live with someone, you just watch them in the morning. They just move into a routine. They're just creatures of habit, right? Now, we also have a habitual way of thinking. And if you grew up like me, council estate, people thinking you've got to work really hard, you've got to be really smart, money's the root of all evil, these things are programmed into our subconscious mind from early, right? So we've got to do our best. It can be done. It's not the easiest thing to do. That's why 95% of people are broke and are losing in life, right? You've got to disrupt the paradigm. And I find the goal card is a very amazing tool at disrupting it. And if you really want to take it a step further, set an alarm on your phone for every 2 hours. And when it goes off, you ask yourself, okay, where are my thoughts right now? Where are my feelings? Like, we become what we think about. If you write down what you want on a card and you carry it with you, I guarantee it must happen. This isn't something I've made up. Even my mentor, Bob Proctor's made up. We're talking about universal laws. We literally become what we think about. So every time I look at my goal, I'm thinking about my goal, and I know that soon it's going to be mine. Why? Because it's what I'm thinking about, and we literally become what we think about. That's a game changer. Another great tool is your self-image script as well, right? So self-image is the way that we see ourselves internally, right? Now, we can never outperform our self-image. Do you know, have you ever heard of a cybernetic instrument?
I've read Psycho-Cybernetics.
Yeah, so Maxwell Maltz, right?
Yep.
So cybernetic instrument is the same. We have in our brain the same thing that a plane has, which we call autopilot, right? And the same thing that a thermostat has in a room. So let's take it to money again. If a person is programmed to earn £50,000 a year, right? That's like the thermostat in the room being set to 50 degrees. If cold air comes into that room and knocks the room down to 30 degrees, the thermostat picks up the deviation, it puts the heating on until the room goes back to 50 degrees. Same thing that's why we can't, how can I explain it so it's simple? Well, the same way I've just explained it, if a person is programmed to make £50,000 a year, and in January they get off to a flying start, they make 25 grand, the self-image, the cybernetic instrument is going to pick up the deviation, and over the next 11 months, it evens out to 50,000.
Yeah, they'll spend more money, they'll make less some months.
100%, right? If you want proof of this, look at someone that wins the lottery. The outside has just outperformed the way that they see themselves. If they win 10 million, I mean, just do your research on people that win the lottery, they're broke again.
Spend all, yeah.
Yeah, but let's have a look at a person like me, for example. You know, I was making £18,000 a month with the online fitness company. I just said, I'm just going to leave it. My friends were trying to take me out for dinner, trying to sit me down. What? You're going to go and teach people about the thoughts and the mind? Like, you've got a company that's making 18K a month. I said, no, I ain't got a company that's making 18K a month. My vibration's making 18K a month. Watch what I go and do. Right? But this is the thing about decision making as well. You should never let anyone make decisions for you, ever. I had my decision made before I went and spoke to my friends about it. Went off track there.
No, so that was really good. So the question, just again, that I want people to, when they're watching this, when you say vibration, I fully understand what you're talking about. Would it be silly to say that your vibration is essentially your identity? Like, to shift your vibration, just to shift your identity. Well, I was watching Bob Proctor coming up here, and one thing I've learned a few weeks ago, I've really been honing in on is that every thought carries a level of vibration, and obviously the thoughts that you think, the thoughts that you think determine the levels of vibration that you emit, which levels of vibration essentially does at the same time mean frequency. So thinking into results, the way I conceptualize it is that you need to think the thoughts of the person that you want to become, or the position that they are in.
And that's self-image again. So what I get all of my clients to do is they write out a detailed description of the person that they want to become, but they write it in present tense. How does this person smell? You know, how do people feel when they're in the energy? What type of clients do they attract? You know, how much money are they making? How do they travel? What car do they drive? And then they make a recording. It's got to be super detailed though, right? And then you make a recording and you listen to it a minimum of 4 times a day. Subconscious mind doesn't know if we're telling it a lie or telling it the truth. And then through repetition of it, your subconscious mind accepts it. It puts you on the same frequency as it. And then you start acting like that person. Like that's what an actor does. Denzel, he just gets a book. Denzel Washington, my favorite actor. He just gets a script. He reads the script. He rereads the script. He becomes emotionally involved with the script. And then he becomes the script. Well, we can do the exact same thing with our mind. But identity is, I see identity as self-image. You know,
so literally,
it's the way you perceive yourself.
You are, yeah.
But I think where a lot of people go wrong is they start saying affirmations. They start listening to the self-image script, and then they say, "This is bullshit. I don't believe it." It's supposed to feel like bullshit, and you're not supposed to believe it, right? You don't write an affirmation every day. I am Scottish. That's programmed into you. You just know it. We don't write an affirmation for something that we already believe. So we're affirming something that we don't believe, and at first we're not supposed to believe it. That's why we've created an affirmation for it. Affirmations are very powerful, but you've got to be very consistent with them, and you've also got to mix emotion with them.
What I've noticed is most people fail because the present reality that we're experiencing is almost this echo effect of the past thoughts, the past beliefs, the past actions. So the present thoughts, the new beliefs, the positive things that we're saying and thinking about and focusing on, they also have an echo effect to then appear in our life.
Yeah.
So that little time in between that it takes for results to come in, people count the score too quick and they start to look at this evidence externally like, I'm not the guy yet, and etc. And that's why most people fail.
100%. Well, what most people do is they let the results control the thinking.
Yeah.
We got to do it the other way, right? We got to get our thinking to control our results. What you said is a great point, though, the echo effect. That's called the law of gestation. So it means that every seed has an incubation period, right? So at one point, we didn't know how long it took for a baby to manifest. You know, a baby is just a spiritual seed, same as your goal, right? Now we know it takes about 280 days for the baby to manifest into physical form. At one point, we didn't know how long it took for a carrot to manifest. And there's a great story about the mum who was showing the son how to, plant a carrot. And they planted it and they watered it. And then a week later, the son got agitated. He got impatient, and then he digged it up. And he's never going to see the carrot grow now, right? So what we've got to learn to do is we've been programmed from a very early age, Kyle, to go from what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, and what we touch, right? Now, as long as we live in this physical world, yes, we do need to use our 5 senses to correspond. But if we let our present results control our thinking, our income cannot improve. It can't improve. So when you start thinking about what you want, when you fuse with a bigger goal, something that only you can see in your imagination, you're gonna be dealing with a world that is totally different to your 5 senses. You can't see it, but that's where faith comes into play, right? Faith is the ability to see the invisible, believe in the incredible, and that's going to permit you to receive what the masses call impossible. So anyone with goals out there, you've got to realize that when you build an image in your mind, a beautiful dream of what you want, the woman you want, the house that you want, the business that you want, the income that you want, that's a place. Like, that is actually a real place. It's just out there on a different frequency. Now, what most people do is go, that's what I want, but I don't know how to get there. Then they let it go.
The how ruins it.
Yeah, you should never let it go. You're not going to know how. Our job isn't to know how. Our job is to know what. We have this power that flows into our consciousness right? And this power is neither good or bad, but our thinking makes it so, right? Now, whatever is impressed has to be expressed. Whatever is impressed has to be expressed. It's just most people don't know what they want. And if we go back to that statement, we become what we think about, most people don't have a goal. They have no destination, and that's because of, I don't believe that's inherent in birth, because I believe when we come into this earth, no one needs to teach a baby that they've got a goal. A baby's got a C-type goal. It wants to walk, doesn't know it can walk, doesn't think it can walk, sees people around it walking, and the baby's willing to do whatever it takes. If it falls down the stairs, if it bangs its head, if it bleeds, the baby keeps getting back up. Right, so I think built into our DNA, we understand that we're not a failure at something because we fail. We're only a failure when we quit. So lost my track of thought. I keep going off on tangents, but that's what I do.
No, it's good.
Yeah,
I like the analogy of the baby there, like not even knowing that it could walk, and it's just this kind of chasing the thing that it's almost impossible because all the other babies can't walk.
Yeah.
And like they look at all that. That's actually a really good analogy, actually. Like that.
Yeah, but then
Really
we go to school, and then we start dreaming. I'm sure we all wanted to be astronauts, footballers, and we get told from teachers, from parents, to be realistic. Don't fantasize. And then we get told that fantasy is just for little kids. But Napoleon Hill said it: the imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force that the world has ever known. When my daughter's in her bedroom. She ain't even in her bedroom. She's somewhere crazy on stage being like a ballerina and stuff. We get told, and we're conditioned from kids not to fantasize. But as far as we know, we're the only creature on the planet that can fantasize, right? Yeah. So we've got to build this picture, and then we've got to ask ourselves, are we able to do it? Well, we've got infinite potential. So yeah, you are able to do it. You might not know how to do it, but you are able to do it. And I love the way Steve Jobs put it as well. He said, you'll never connect the dots looking forwards. He said, you can only connect the dots looking backwards. When I set a goal to become one of Bob's best ever consultants, if I would have tried looking forward and seen how that was going to happen, no. Now I'm here. Yeah, I can look back and tell you how it happened. Yeah. But yeah, it's super. I love how the mind works. I'm fascinated by it. Yeah. I could speak about it all day. Your
destination is your starting location.
100%.
Really good. And that's the process I take my clients through, is reverse engineering it. And they all go like, why am I thinking about 12 months on? I'm not thinking about next month. It's because you need to start from that place. And like reverse engineering it and starting from where you want to go to. Because if you can't start from that place, you're almost, I see it when I use an analogy, if I'm using my whiteboard, you're almost like looking into like empty space. You see when you're trying to look towards nothing. And you're like, right, what's my 3 month? And there's nothing to connect the top. You're kind of just looking into the dark and there's nothing to really connect it. Whereas if you can start from the top and come down, it makes a lot more fucking sense.
Yeah. So when you say you're reverse engineering with them, what are you doing? Are you helping them build a picture 12 months from now and then working back on how they got there?
So if everything goes to plan in the next 12 months, what does your business look like? What does your life look like?
Beautiful.
They go into detail and speak from that place.
Yeah.
What I've actually been encouraging, and if you're watching this, I'd recommend pen to paper, because
100%.
I've had them on a Notion document for like this full year.
Yeah, it's not the same.
See, I'm genuinely positive that the technology ruins your frequency and kind of brain fogs you a little bit. Yeah. I've done some deep breathing. I mean, like 3 minutes of deep breathing with my boy the other day. I sat pen to paper and wrote perfectly the 12-month vision. Yeah. It's got me and Jack launching a clothing brand. It's got all these details in it. That if I sat like this, I would have just fucking froze. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So pen to paper is really powerful, but I get them to write that 12-month vision out clearly, but not from a place of like, see the A and B type.
C-type, how do you really want it?
Everything goes perfectly. What does it look like? And really
that.
Play on that.
Yeah.
But before that, I actually start them doing a magic wand scenario.
Okay.
Which is, if you had a magic wand, what would your life look like? Let's just play a game. Let's remove any limitations. What would your life look like if you had a magic wand? And that allows them to tell me exactly what they want. Because you ask someone what they want, and all they can tell you is what they don't want. Everyone's got this focus of, I don't want this isn't good, this isn't ideal. And that's why they've still got that in their life, because your thinking turns into your
they're thinking about what they don't want, right?
Exactly. So that magic wand scenario allows them to remove any limitations and really get that C-type goal.
Yeah, I love that.
It's a really good way to start. And it just gives you, again, the North Star, the reverse engineering process. Connect to there, and then you're going to start to, the way I see it, is if you can truly shift your identity, right, or self-image, is the same kind of thing, right?
Yeah, same thing, yeah.
Change your self-image, you can do that using visualization. So if you can start to emotionally experience this life you want in this like theta brainwave state or alpha brainwave state, the kind of in-between stage, you can start to emotionally experience and update your self-image based on this visualization that you go through. So you can then start to really align with who that person is.
Yeah.
And if you're in this state of non-resistance, this relaxed state, you can receive ideas that are aligned with that version of yourself. But most people are in this stressed out state. They're trying to force their goals and work really hard. Whereas a lot of the things that I've been teaching recently is getting to a really relaxed state of non-resistance. And you'll know exactly what to do as long as you're connected to a clear vision.
Yeah,
most people lose sight in what they need to do because they're trying to force a lot of effort, a lot of results. But does the person that has £1 million, are they forcing things? Are they not? Like, are they relaxed? They're more likely going to be relaxed and flowing and
calm,
being intuitive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I love that.
So that is the process of building a vision out.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Love it.
But then you reverse engineer the 12 to the 9 to the 6 to the 3. So you get checkpoints.
Yeah.
And you can understand that Q1, like what the kind of daily to weekly metrics are so that you can actually make sense of scaling a business or hitting the goals.
Yeah.
What do you think about that specific metrics?
No, I think it's great. I think it's quite similar. Like you said, identity and self-image, right? So it's quite similar to what I'm doing. And it's funny when, when I need to update my self-image. Like when I'm listening to it now, it's crazy. I'm like, wow, did that. And you kind of don't realize until you keep listening to it and you keep listening to it. And you're like, wow, but I agree. I would recommend people as well, not just a pen and paper. I mean, you might not want to go out and get a Mont Blanc, but you want a really good pen. This is something I learned from Bob, like for the first year, and I only got this a few months back, but for a long time, I kept hearing Bob, and when you listen to Bob say something over and over again, you're just like, I'm going to have to do it, right? But he used to say, everything's vibration, so things carry vibration. It's like going to a place where they, they cook you a chicken burger and, they just dashed it on, They've done it with negative thinking. That food carries a vibration. Everything carries vibration, right? Get yourself a nice pen. And I use these notepads that they're quite inexpensive, to be honest. They're called Moleskine. And Vincent van Gogh and Picasso used to use them. And when you write in them, because we look after our car, we look after our home. I'm letting the universe know, I take my goals serious. So I would really recommend people go and invest in a good pen and a good notepad, because then when you're writing down your gratitude, when you're writing down how you want your life to be, there's a feeling of wealth that comes with it. And I'll always remember a book. I'm reading You Two Are Prosperous at the minute by the same author, Robert Russell. And he's got a great book called God Works Through Faith. And there's a line in it that I used to read over and over again for months. It says, possession is going to follow the feeling that you already possess the thing. And that feeling is made stronger if you'll express gratitude for it. So I'll look at that and go, okay, well, 100K a month is going to follow the feeling that I already possess 100K a month. And that feeling is going to be made stronger if I express gratitude for it. Then I'll do the same thing with wealth. Wealth is going to follow the feeling that I already possess wealth. And I had a great mentor, I worked with her for 6 months, called Eva. She's also a PGI consultant. She helped me massively, paid her a lot of money as well. And if I got one thing from her, it was the feeling of wealth, putting myself in opulent environments, investing in a nice pen, getting a nice car. Where about Dakota, so I'd recommend people watching this. You don't have to go and spend lots of money. Go and find a beautiful, opulent hotel near where you live and go and what's a coffee? £6. Go and sit down, start conversations with people and be in that opulent environment, because that carries a feeling. I've got an obsession with designer ties and stuff. People watching this might not be into designer things, but if you are, or you're into suits like me, then go into somewhere like a tailor and try on the suit. You don't have to buy the suit, but your subconscious mind doesn't know that you're not buying it. You still get that feeling. And it's what Neville Goddard says, the law of reversibility, right?
In Think and Go Rich, they talk about the sixth sense being your creative imagination.
Yes.
And I think that's one thing that a lot of people need to be persistent and patient with, because when I started, for example, meditating, I was lying there just feeling like a fucking dick, bro. I was like, what the fuck am I doing, bro? Try to breathe, try to get into a state. But now it's so powerful. Every single morning I get into such a state. I feel the gratitude, the relief that I will feel when I achieve the target that I've set in 12 months' time. But that only came through persistence and persisting with the meditation, for example. So the thing about creative imagination, they talk in Think and Grow Rich about the 10 mind stimuli, getting your mind into a higher rate of vibration and concentrating on the finished parts of your plan. Because a lot of the time, people, when they're setting out, they will have certain parts of their plan that is finished, and then the unfinished parts, for example, the money that they've not, the money that they're planning to make or X, Y, Z. Tapping into creative imagination, I've realized it's a process. You're not just good at it. It's something you need to really connect to and build.
100%. And then also, I think that's where desire comes into play as well, right? Because the human mind does work best under stimulation. You know, a big chapter of Think and Grow Rich for me, and I think is very underrated, and people want to have a look into, is sex transmutation. You know, you'll get a lot of people, I just can't get emotionally involved with my goals, probably because you've got none of your strongest emotion left. You know, I'm not going to go into it in too much detail now, but I think that's a big thing that's overlooked, and I'll probably do some more work on that in the future with other people, because I think that's not spoken about enough. But the creative imagination only works when the conscious mind is vibrating due to some form of mind stimulant, and then 10 mind stimulates at an exceedingly high rate of vibration. This is when we're not thinking about the ins and outs of the business. This is when we're on a completely different plane, right? And he explains it how it's like going over, it's like going in an aeroplane, and you can look over everything. That's only done when the conscious mind is moving at an exceedingly high rate of vibration. Sex is one of them. Another one is desire. You know, that's why C-type goals so important. If you stimulate your mind with your goal, and you can stimulate it that much, that's when those hunches come in, them inspirations, and you just feel super connected with it.
100%. It's crazy the 10 mind stimuli as well when you look into it. Even music, like a lot of people, this is one thing that I actually would love your take on. When it comes to music being one of the 10 mind stimuli to raise your rates of vibration, do you think it matters what music you're listening to? Because I think a lot of people, or does it depend on how it makes you feel? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it depends on how it makes you feel, right? I used to listen to a lot of music. I don't listen to so much now. There's a great song by Nat King Cole called "Pretend." It's a great song. I got it from Bob. He said listen to it at least twice a day, and that really helps with the auto-suggestion side of things. But no, I still listen to some rap. You know, every now and again. I don't listen to it over and over and over again. And I appreciate it more, you know, because I'm not listening to it over and over again. When I put it on, it does stimulate my mind. I think too much of it, though. If the rappers are speaking about negative things, it's like listening to your self-image script, you know. If you're listening to rappers all day talking about, you know, F this woman and, you know, this and that and drugs and stuff like that, like, no one's immune to it. It's going to seep in 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
I was watching a live of Bob Proctor driving up here, and he had a question come in, and he asked Bob, I have difficulty staying on the vibration of my desired reality. How do I stay on the vibration?
It's a great question.
And he said, well, first of all, look at your question. Stop thinking it's difficult, because the thought of thinking it's difficult is what is taking you off of the vibration. So reinforcing to yourself that you're so grateful that you can stay on the vibration, you're aware of your thoughts and feelings, and you know how you think, what you think and how you feel. So it is just as simple as focusing on the positive thoughts and not thinking about what you don't want or what you don't have.
Yeah.
How do you stay in the vibration? How does Joel? Because you're always on it, bro. Your stories are so consistent.
Yeah.
You're always on the same. Like, you're so consistent with the YouTube, the posting on reels. Like, how do you stay in that vibration? How do you do it? I know you probably teach. Is it individual to people, or is there one way to do it, or how do you do it?
I believe the best way to sell a product is to become a product of the product. So I'm up at 5:30 a.m. You know, I'm in Scotland now. Still be up. I've got 2 people going to be waiting for me on a Zoom call. My accountability group at 6 a.m. ready to study a lesson. So accountability, for sure. Super grateful for the 2 people, John and Gargan. They'll probably watch this. accountability. You know, people take out insurance on the car, you know, on the house. Many people aren't taking out insurance on the goals, right? And this is why I say to people, remember, I was in a position where I was watching Bob on YouTube for 6 years. My income didn't change, right? Because I was just gathering information consciously, right? But the conscious mind's in control of what we know, but the subconscious mind's in control of what we do with what we know. So mentorship is so important because it's not just a transfer of information and knowledge. I got kicked out of school at 13. These people out there with way more knowledge than me, but they're not getting the results that I'm getting, right? It's the accountability, it's the environment, and it's the implementation. So what I found, even me as a mentor, I always have mentors. I'm always in training. I've got accountability partners that are holding me accountable. And the way I stay productive is in every evening, I just write down, I am so happy and grateful that I did the following today. And I write down my 6 goal achieving activities for the day, because that gives my subconscious mind all night to go to work on doing them, right? Then I wake up and I'm focused on one, and I'm not thinking about nothing else until I've done that one, and I'm on to the next. And if you do that for 6 months, you know, your life's going to change like night and day. The way I stay focused, though, is exactly what I've just said, really, the goal card. I believe everyone should have a program that they're following. Not just strategy or business-based either. It's not enough. To do with you, how you work, how you operate, how your thoughts create things. I believe that's super important. And yeah, man, all that's just going around. A lot of auto-suggestion, you know, all the time. You know, my goals just going around my mind. How can I serve more? How can I be better at what I do? You know, I am the best at what I do. I'm already the best consultant. I've took this further than Bob Proctor. You know, this is my inner talking. You know, remember when I put you onto the book? The Power of Awareness?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what's the coin of heaven, right? Observe your inner talking, and inner talking no one else hears. There's a great quote, we think in secret, and it comes to pass. Our environment is our looking glass. A lot of people really think that thoughts are just something that stay in your head. No, you look in your outside world, it's showing you what's been going on inside. But Neville says in that book, observe your inner talking and remember your goal. Do they match? Does your inner talking match what you would say out loud if you'd already achieved your goal? And in my inside world, I've took this to a bigger place than Bob Proctor. So it's just it's firing myself up all the time with my goal. Now, do I have doubts? Yeah, for sure. I believe when you're setting massive goals, you're going to have doubts because it's the old conditioning trying to keep you safe, right? I believe the people that aren't going after things, they don't really have doubts. And they're very comfortable with it. I'm very uncomfortable every single day. I actually look for, you know, positions to be uncomfortable every day because I'm going to grow. But yeah, desire, man. Desire is the first step. I want my goal as much as I want to breathe. I don't even think about anything else. I really don't think about anything else but my goal.
That's beautiful, because Bob Proctor actually says that there will be times where he will come out of his desired vibration. It's just how quickly you can bounce back into that vibration.
Yeah.
So awareness is the key. And there's a universal law, the law of polarity, and it states that all truths are but half truths, and you get to have, if you have the self-awareness, you get to control where your will and focus is placed. And it's just as necessary being able to focus on the positive as it is the negative. But one thing a lot of the audience will kind of go back and forth in their head with when they're trying to stay on that new vibration, that frequency, is the self-doubt, the emotional reaction to their physical situation, which will pull their mental state into that negative side. And that's one thing that I think is so important, is auto-suggestion, just always repeating to yourself the positive affirmations.
Always.
100%. One thing that's really powerful that I want to reinforce for the people watching is the fact that you're in a constant state seems to be, disagree if you don't agree with me, you seem to be in a state of living for your future self. Because you're always in the night before, what am I doing tomorrow, 6 action steps. And you're always like setting yourself up, because a good day starts the night before. So you're consistently always thinking about yourself in the morning. So you're always thinking forward for your future self.
Always, yeah. My day's pretty much spent for the day before.
Yeah.
Yeah, always. And this is just all thinking into results, if I'm honest. You know, same thing what you said about the law of polarity. If a person's observing a result that they don't want in their life, right? They've got to understand that that's just an idea that's fixed inside the subconscious mind, right? Get a piece of paper. This is what we take people through. This is exactly how you change a paradigm. So you get a piece of paper, you write down in all of its negativity. You know, maybe it's your sales. You know, my sales are inconsistent. I get some and then I lose some. You write it all down. Then you get another sheet of paper and you understand the law of opposites, right? You can't have an up without a down, a left without a right. So there's an opposite to that result, the result that you want. Then you write that down. I am so happy and grateful now that my sales are getting better and better every single month. I'm attracting effective leads on a continuous basis. Whatever you want, the result that you want, right? Then you go outside with the results that you don't want and you literally burn the piece of paper. My clients sometimes think it's silly, right? I say, I'm giving you a license to be silly because it's symbolic. We're going to let it go. It's not going to get rid of the idea in the subconscious mind, but it's symbolic. We're letting it go. Now, we've got a piece of paper with the result that we want. We should write that out 100 times every single morning, 100 times every single day. I do. That's how I'm getting the results.
So 100 times, what do you write 100 times? Just so we're clear.
The result that you want.
So like, is it a sentence that summarizes the result you want?
Yeah, so if the result that you want is your sales getting better, your income increasing, I'm so happy and grateful that my sales are getting better every single day and that my income is increasing every single month. See, the mind turns around and says, I don't want to, fuck that, I don't want to write out 100. It's the only way. There's two ways to change a paradigm. Number one is an emotional impact. So let's say if a woman loses a child, boom. That's a big emotional impact that causes a big shift in that lady's subconscious mind, right? They can be positive, they are usually negative, and they're also out of our control. The only reliable way to change your subconscious mind is the way it was formed, which is through repetition. It's the only way. You see, you're not Kyle. You know, you're probably going to go by Kyle for the rest of your life, but you're not Kyle.
No.
That's just an idea that your parents fixed inside your subconscious mind when the subconscious mind can't reject, right? So the same way that if I walk past you and I say, Jamie, there's no cells in your nervous system that register. But if I say, Kyle, you're going to pick it up straight away. We need to get your goal the same. Once your goal's the same, you're going to attract everything that you need. Now, that don't mean that you can sit in bed and just visualize and it comes to you. It means that you're going to attract the people, the resources, the situations. I've had you on, Instagram for like 3 years. I don't even remember sending you a message about doing a podcast and stuff. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm doing the action. I really don't. I feel like it's spirit working through me or whatever we call that higher power. You're just guided to do the right things at the right times and everything you touch is kind of, turns to gold. So it's super interesting how it works.
It's perfect because see 2 weeks ago, this podcast was not planned.
No.
It was genuinely, no, it was last week. It was like 3 messages, group chat formed. Can you do Tuesday? Now we're here. I've just met you, bro. I don't even fucking know who you are. I've been looking at your stuff, but one cool thing to note with how this has all happened though, there was so little resistance. This just felt like a part of what was meant
effortless,
to happen.
right?
So effortless and just flowed. I've been teaching that a lot recently is living intuitively.
Intuitively, okay.
Yeah, which means essentially we all know what we should do. We all have this gut feeling. Right? Before it goes to your mind, and you start to scramble it in your mind. So what I've started to teach is, done a really powerful call the other week on clients getting clear on what their core values are. So what are your core values? Like, what do you actually fucking really care about in life? And then with that awareness of what your core values are, go into your life and only do things intuitively that are aligned with your core values.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time people will know what they should do and then they leave that long enough in that gut feeling, goes to their mind and they start scrambling it. The ego gets involved, doubt gets involved.
It's true.
And then you start to compare to other people. And then that intention they initially had, I don't know if you've heard the law of diminishing intent, Jim Rohn.
No.
But it says that once you have this intention, the longer period of time that you take to act on that intention, the intention starts to diminish. And then you never ever take action on that fucking intention.
So true. Procrastination, right?
Exactly. But that procrastination only happens because it gets to the mind and you scramble it.
Yeah.
You start to doubt and you start to compare and all these kind of things. So I've been really teaching clients recently and reinforcing to them to live more intuitively. And just when that first answer comes up, act on it because that's the truth. Ultimately.
Follow your feelings, right?
And that's how this happened. That's why I did that too. This is because Joel, you had an intuitive, like, inspired thought to message me. And then I was like, nah, feels right, bro, let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
And then obviously we just done it without scrambling it in the mind and going, does it make sense, da-da-da. We've just kind of aligned with the truth. And then we're having a really positive conversation. And a really powerful thing that I've came across recently and reinforced to clients is, and I know that you do it because you've kind of just explained it without actually saying that exact thing. You're always anticipating something good.
Always.
You're living in a state of anticipation because people live in anticipation of, fuck, something bad's about to happen, right? Imagine you flip that on its head and you're like, oh my God, something good's about to fucking happen. And you're living in this constant state of anticipating. I said that to one of my clients and he was pissing himself. He was like, bro, that's amazing. I'm just going to walk about like, fuck, something good's about to happen. But having that as a state of anticipation, so powerful.
So powerful. I've actually been teaching my daughter, Esme, about that. She's been having a few issues at school with some girls. And she had a really bad day the other day. She got into a fight. She's only 7. And I picked her up on Friday. I was speaking to her. And I said, well, what happened that day? You know, she'd been getting a bit angry, etc., etc. And she also spoke to my mum and said, well, Dad never gets angry. Dad's never been angry. And my mum had to explain to her, Dad used to be a very angry. I used to have a bad temper, you know. I've been locked up, been in police stations. You know, I used to have a bad temper, scars on my knuckles from just punching stuff, just dumb stuff, right? But my daughter's never seen any of this, so it made me really think, wow, I should really sit down with her and explain, like, the way you see Daddy now is a lot of work on myself, a lot of internal work. We're always like that. Yep. So, we're in the car, and she's like, I don't know, I just got angry. And I said, well, what happened that day? And she went, I just woke up and I just knew it was going to be a bad day. And I can't help but coach, whether it's my daughter, my mum, my missus. I'm like, well, and I never make decisions for her. So I ask her questions so she can make her own decision, right? I was a poor decision maker because I like my hair shaped up. When I was a kid, my dad would never allow me to get my hair shaped up. In other words, he made decisions for me. When I became an adult, I didn't know how to make decisions, right? Always asking people. So I said to her, I said, well, how can we prevent that? You know, how could you wake up and, you know, think about having a good day? And she goes, wake up and say, I'm going to have a good day. And I'm like, yeah. How about we say that 10 times first thing in the morning? I'm going to have a good day today. I'm going to have an amazing day today. I'm going to expect great things to happen today. You know, we attract what we expect. You know, I'm always expecting expected and unexpected clients, expected income and unexpected income. You know, we want to live in that state, and I get goosebumps thinking about it now because I just know great things are going to happen. I have this affirmation that I say to myself, the floodgates are going to open. And also, when something that I perceive as negative happens in my life, that's good. Wow, that's amazing. Client didn't pay. Oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you so much. That's good. Law of opposites, right? If I'm seeing a bad in it, there's got to be a good in it. Let's look for the good. Son smashes my Mac. Wow, that's good. Just got a scratch on my car. Wow, that's amazing. That's good. That's good. That's good. I'm not sure if it was Jim Rohn or Brian Tracy. It was one of them. They use that, you know, because our subconscious mind doesn't know if it's good or not. Our subconscious mind is going to react to whatever we tell it. So whatever happens in our outside world, how about we have the attitude of that's good? If we have the attitude of there's something good in that, you know, and people might be watching this and they might be thinking, well, you know, what about people that get ill and, you know, people that die and family members? I lost my nana, right? That doesn't stop the law, though. The law says that there's an in, there's an out, there's a left, there's a right, there's an up, there's a down, there's, you know, a hot, a cold. You can't have a negative without a positive. So if you're seeing a little bad in a situation, it means there's a little good. If you're seeing a lot of bad, you know, there's a lot of good. You know, one of my worst dark times, as you could say, was being sectioned. You know, I had a cannabis-induced psychosis during the first lockdown. If someone would have told me that was going to be the best thing that ever happened to me at the time, I would have thought it was crazy. That was the best thing that ever happened to me. Ever happened. So if someone is going through something right now, you want to get excited because it's those. How would you know what happiness is if you never went through the dark times? A lot of people say, I want to be happy, I want to be happy. But if you was full all the time, how would you appreciate the taste of food? You know, if you was happy all the time, how would you know what happiness feels like, right? We only know what good times feel like because we've experienced the bipolar opposite, which is bad times.
100%. So do you refer to the law of opposites as the law of polarity?
Same thing. Yeah,
So-
just different names. Like the law of action reaction is the law of cause and effect. Same thing.
For sure. Just because I wanted to touch on the law of rhythm.
Yes.
Because when you were saying about the bad times happening, so
Yeah.
maybe in the low times, for example, Bob Proctor always talks about how that if you are in low times, if bad things are happening, maybe your business is a little bit more quiet. If you persist, guess what's going to be next? Success, the highs. And it's understanding that ebbs and flows, highs and lows, that this is the law of rhythm. It's a universal law that exists and man cannot alter that. So it's understanding that if there are lows, or if you're experiencing lows in your life, persist because you're about to experience some highs. And that's what I persist with and fully believe. And it's perfect because it allows you to really understand that there must be lows. It doesn't need to be like a crazy fucked up low, you lose your fucking leg. Like it could just be less clients that week or less sales that month. Just understanding that there is the universal law of rhythm, highs and lows.
Yeah, completely agree. It's funny because women have their time of the month, right? But so do men. So do us all, right? The tide comes in, the tide comes out, you know. But I don't even know about the seasons, but one of the seasons is autumn, where the leaves come off. Yeah, you don't see the tree marching up and down. Oh my God, I've lost my leaves. No, the tree knows, you know, spring's gonna come round and the leaves are gonna come back. You know, so that's the way I see it. You're not gonna feel 100% all the time. When you do feel amazing, embrace it. And when you're not feeling so amazing, just tell yourself, you know, this too, I always say, this too shall pass. This is going to pass. This is going to pass. Do what you can today. Do what you can today. And to be honest, half of the YouTube videos when I've not felt like doing it have been the best ones, you know. So persistence is everything, you know. What you guys are doing are amazing, though. You've got incredible mindsets, man. I mean, I can just feel it off you.
Appreciate
incredible.
it. Appreciate it, Will. A really cool thing that I want to reinforce is, see when you do have really shit periods in life, you spoke about desire.
Yeah.
And without desire, nothing happens. Like
So true.
It doesn't happen. So it's cool because the more poor that you are, the more sick that you've been, the stronger the desire to have the opposite is born, right? So when you see people that are billionaires, they've been homeless or they've grew up in like really bad poverty, and it's because when they're in that really bad poverty, they then formed this really strong desire for the opposite. And what that done was it created a place. Again, I don't want to, because we need probably longer than an hour to sit and speak really deep about it, but the concepts that Joel speaks about, the concepts that I believe in with the metaphysics, the fact that there is this field of infinite potential or infinite, and within this field of infinite potential, there are an infinite amount of potential lives that you could live and experience and things that could happen. And essentially what's happening when you're in this really bad state of poverty or sickness, you have a really strong desire for the opposite. So if you're really poor, you have a desire for lots of money. And when you have that desire for lots of money, maybe you're a little kid when it happens, what you're doing is you're actually almost like making that part of the potential alive. But you're actually creating it as something that you can have.
Yeah.
And that's why when a lot of the time when people are going from having like a lot of poverty in their life, they end up being super successful because they've had this strong desire because they've experienced the negative.
100%.
So the point really is, there's actually not a full-on negative. It's not just negative when you're going through shit things in life.
Yeah,
it gives you the chance to desire more.
Exactly. Yeah, and desire is everything, man. You can't accumulate large amounts of money until you've worked yourself into a burning desire for it. You know, I love money. You know, when people say money is the root of all evil, you all see what money's done. I provide for all of my family. You know, money's created a fantastic. Can't no one tell me money's evil. I'm obsessed with money. I use money though. Money don't use me. But I have a desire for money because money can do two things. It can make you more comfortable and it can extend the good that you do far beyond your own presence, right? I'm obsessed over money. You'd be surprised. Most of the population, when they hear that, they're like, oh, that doesn't sit right with me. Probably why they've not got much in the bank then, right? I absolutely love money. And there's a great book I'd recommend you guys read it. It's called Money is God in Action. It's about 15 pages of some of the best material ever. And he says in it, the first step to more money, the first step to having more abundance in your life is to love money. He said, because anything that we love increases and anything that we criticize begins to move out of our lives. And I thought, wow.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Imagine how many people are having negative conversations and criticizing money right now. Why do I not have enough? You should just write down 100 times every day, money, I love you, I think you're wonderful. You do that every single day for at least 6 months. I guarantee you would have more money in your life.
100%. Do you, just a question, do you think that placing too much importance on it, though, can be a bad thing? Because the person that has it, so the whole concept of you can't have something that you don't already have.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't have that Mont Blanc pen if you didn't have the Mont Blanc pen.
Yeah.
So the person that has it doesn't necessarily desire or really want it or have this like strong importance on money.
But I believe they do, though, because the money you earn is in direct ratio to the service that you render. So it's like Warren Buffett said, he don't care about the money, but it's a yardstick. It shows him how well he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So when you've got to the point of money where you've got enough money to cover all your needs, the money that you are earning is showing you how much service you are giving. You know, Wallace D. Wattles says it, and I totally agree with him. Like, being poor is a sin. Like, the money we earn is in direct ratio to the service that we render. So if someone's not making no money, what's that telling us? It's telling us that they're not serving their fellow human beings. And that's what we're here to do. I'm here to serve you. You're here to serve me. Right? You would give me money, or I would give you money in exchange for a service or product that I found useful and valuable. People that have got no money are not exchanging a service. So I believe, I believe it's extremely important because it's the currency of exchange that we use all around the world, and it's just the amount of the person that earns more money is being of more service. Jeff Bezos is like at everyone's door every 2 seconds with an Amazon parcel, right? Mm-hmm. Look how much service he's giving. Yep. No wonder he's got so much money. You know, he probably could have stopped a long time ago, but he's bigger than the money for him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's perfect. In Think and Grow Rich, the 6-step method, creating your statement that you say to yourself twice a day. I have a little part of that statement is saying about the money I earn is the indirect proportion to the service I render.
That I render.
Such accountability there, though, because then you know you can only achieve what you're set out to achieve if you actually take the action, aligned action that is required to achieve that thing.
Yes.
An applicable concept that I learned from Bob Proctor that I think is so important is we talk about faith, but faith and fear are both having belief in things that we cannot see.
So true.
And a lot of people can relate to fear because most of us live in fear a lot of our life.
Mm-hmm.
And the audience watching, if you think about something that you felt fear about, where does that fear come from? Likely your imagination. It was something you were feeling fear about, something that hadn't even happened yet. And if you can understand that, you imagined that fear. You created that fear in your mind off the back of a negative outcome that hadn't even happened yet. So the same way that you can create fear and feed fear in your mind is the same way that you can feed faith and start to live with gratitude and these positive feelings and gratitude about the thing that you're wanting to achieve. And faith and fear, there's like one or the other. It kind of is when we talk about the law of polarity, like faith and fear are, you cannot have faith. Faith and fear cannot be present at the same time.
Do we have time to go into that?
Yeah. Because I think faith and fear, people understanding that if you feel faith, you cannot feel fear. They cannot coexist.
But then we got to ask where that comes from, right? I literally just broke this down on a podcast, right? We got law of polarity, right? You've got positive, negative, right? The negative side is ignorance. A person's living in fear because they're ignorant. Growing up, if someone would have called me ignorant, I would have got into a fight because I would have thought he was calling me rude, right? But that don't mean that you're rude. It just means you don't know. So I'm ignorant on how to set a podcast studio up. I just don't know how to do it. I plan on staying that way, to be honest, right? But I think there's one thing we should never be ignorant on, and that's the mind, right? So when we're ignorant on the mind and we don't understand how it works, right, we start to worry and doubt on a conscious level. I've actually got my stick person, but I've left it in the car, right? Because this would have looked really good. But it registers on a conscious level of worry and doubt. We use our inner talking, we start worrying and doubting. That worry and doubt registers on a subconscious level as an emotion which we call fear, right? Fear is expressed the only way it can, which is through the body, and we call that anxiety, right? That anxiety we don't express, we suppress it. And that suppression turns into depression. Someone asked me on a podcast the other day, about depression. I said, I'll tell you how to fix it right now. And it's just going through that step by step, right? And that depression, if we're depressed long enough, that depression turns into dis-ease. But we need to hyphenate that dis-ease.
Yeah.
It's your body's not at ease,
100%.
right? So then we got to use the law of polarity and go on to the positive side. The positive side of it is the opposite to ignorance is knowledge, right? The only way to gain knowledge is through study. That is the only way. If I want to become knowledgeable on how to build a podcast studio, I'm rather going to have to watch some YouTube videos, study, or go and find a person that's already done it, pay them some money and show me how to do it, right? Now, once I've got that knowledge on a conscious level, I'm starting to understand now. I'm starting to understand, okay, this is how it works. That understanding registers on a subconscious level as an emotion, which you said, which is faith, which is the bipolar opposite to fear, right? Faith expresses itself. It's expressed. We don't suppress faith. We express it, right? And then that makes our body the bipolar opposite to disease, which is at ease. And that turns into creation. It's very powerful how it works. Be ignorant on whatever you want. Guys watching this, ladies and gentlemen, do some studying into the mind. It's very important. You want to change your outside world. It's showing you what's going on in your inside world. Unless you change what's going on inside of you, the outside's never going to change, right? As within, so without. If you without is showing arguments, if it's showing negativity, look within. Stop blaming people around you, your kids, your partner, your friends. It's got nothing to do with that's easy to do. It's him, it's her. No, it's you. The quicker you realize that you're your only problem and you're your only solution, the quicker you can do something about it. I take responsibility for my life, my feelings, and every result that I get. They're my results. Your results are your results. They're not his, they're not hers. So if you want to change your results, then you've got to change you. And to do that, you've got to understand your mind. You've got to understand what makes you tick. And you've got to gain a good level of understanding on it. For sure.
100%. And that is the universal law of correspondence. Yeah. And the world is a mirror. It literally is. The world reflects who you are. And you do not see the world as it is. You see it as you are. And ultimately, when it comes to I spoke about this in the last podcast that me and Jack done, the kind of internal mechanism. I just want to ask you a question. I've not got a lot of time left, but
we can just run until we need to.
Yeah, let's fuck it. Fuck. So there's an internal mechanism that runs inside us, right? We go through experiences in life. We form these beliefs based on the experiences that we've had. Those beliefs then dictate the kind of thoughts that come into our mind. Then it leads to the feelings, then the actions, then the outcomes, right?
Yeah.
So in order, and I do YouTube videos of this. Ultimately, then, if we're thinking about it, change the experiences, but ultimately change the beliefs. Yeah. That would then lead to different thoughts, feelings, actions, and outcomes. So in order to change the outcomes, don't change the actions, change the beliefs.
Change the belief, yeah.
So through your teaching and what you teach, how does someone that has a limited mindset of charging less than 5-10K for a package, me, right at the moment, how does someone change that limited belief? Through your work, because it's funny, because I teach this.
Yeah.
And
but we all got blind spots, man. Even I've got blind spots. Bob had blind spots. Exactly. You change. If we tell ourselves a lie over and over again, we eventually believe that is true, right? So if you write down the description of the person that you want to be, right? I personally use a prompt on ChatGPT. I want to go into specific detail about this. Ask me questions, but I don't type it. I'll say it back to ChatGPT. I am this, and I'll say make it emotionally charged, right? When I first started with thinking into results, I was charging like £2,000. I could never ever think about but it's because my belief system changed through listening to my self-image script over and over again. In my self-image script, I'm talking about this is how much I charge. This is the type of client that I attract. Decision makers, action takers, people pre-sold before they even speak, before they even get on the call, right? I'm saying all of this in my self-image script. I'm in my car, driving up to Scotland. I'm overdosing on it. I'm listening to it about 20 times. And if I'm not listening to that, I'm listening to Bob. So through repetition of you hearing your own voice, saying you're charging this much, you're charging that much. And then also you've got to ask yourself, well, how can I be of more service as well, right? I know I'm worth what I charge for thinking into results. And all my clients know that as well. Otherwise, they wouldn't have paid me that price. So it's your subconscious belief in your worth And that's gonna come through repetition of listening to yourself, saying it over and over again. Faith is a state of mind that is induced by self-suggestion. In other words, auto-suggestion. So auto-suggestion is a suggestion from yourself to yourself. And that's what we're doing with our self-image script. So if you was listening to your self-image script and you're talking about your sales, your pricing, what type of client you attract, and you're listening to that at least 4 times a day, that means that you're listening to that on average 120 times in a month. You do that for a year, you can't help but get on sales calls and say, this is my price. You believe it. The object is to want to charge that much, right? And convince yourself that you're worth that much to the point where you believe you are worth that much. There's that great quote, believe and your belief will create the fact.
Yep.
You know, it wasn't only 3 years ago, I was making 15K a year. Like I've made like £15,000 cash collected in like 2 hours now. But that's only because I believe it. And I use a lot of auto-suggestion, self-image script over and over. I'm just telling myself lies all day because I understand how the mind works. I just tell myself a lie until I believe it.
If you're not happy with what you're getting, focus on what you're given. And that's what I heard Bob Proctor talk about a lot. I want to touch a little bit on infinite intelligence because I think when I open my mind up to the concept of infinite intelligence, it sounds so fucking lofty to a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it does to everyone. It's a big idea.
But when you understand, or at least accept that to be true, you can then start to understand how these things that don't logically seem possible are possible. So like when it comes to connecting to infinite intelligence, they talk about faith being the only known agency to give thoughts spiritual charge. And that sounds so lofty, but essentially what it means is when you can start to plant seeds in your subconscious mind through emotionally charging the correct thoughts, you can then start to charge that belief with faith, and then that's what will start to essentially create the correspondence between your subconscious mind and infinite intelligence to feed you the ideas, the opportunities, the people to come into your life to take action on those things to make what you want to happen.
You got it.
How do you...
Beautiful example, what you just said. You just answered it.
Yeah.
I was just listening to a audio book on the way up here, and he's talking about Salt Lake City in Utah. And when you put a key in the ocean, all the salt minerals come and they surround the key. Well, that's what our thoughts do, right? If we were not in harmony, like energy attracts like energy. I can just walk in a gym. I started a new gym like 2 weeks ago. I'm moving. I've just got a beautiful house, but I'm moving. And in that gym, I was in there for like 2 weeks, and I've met a guy and I was on his podcast. Because like energy attracts like energy. If I went in there negative thinking, you know, my life's this, you know, don't like the people in my life, there's no way that I could have been on this podcast. If you were having them thoughts all day long, there's no way that you could attract a person like me on my vibration to your podcast, right? So like energy attracts like things. So our thoughts, they bring things towards us, and it's through our actions that we receive them, right? So if we want abundance in our lives, the first thing we've got to do is change our inner talking. Like, what are you thinking about? You've got to be really honest and go, okay, what am I thinking about most of the time? You know, where was we infinite intelligence? So the thing with infinite, I still marvel at this. I'm sure Bob did when he was alive, right? And this is why learning never stops, because we're drawing on an infinite source. So when you learn, there's just more. There's more. So infinite, the way I see it, and I'm not, you know, an expert on this, but there's no end. There's no end to what you're capable of achieving. There's no end to what I'm capable of achieving. And to even think that right now, we're stuck to this like green and blue ball in the middle of space is infinite. That blows me away. Yeah, like space is infinite. It means it doesn't end. And we're just on this ball, just hovering, right?
I know.
But then research has shown as well that there's no energy as powerful as thought. Not even space and things like that. So we are very, very powerful. You see, people also speak about energy. You know, I need energy, right? When you hear someone saying they've got no energy, what they're really saying is they've got no desire. That's what I found. Because we don't get energy, we are energy. We're a walking mass of energy. You know, if we think these mics are powerful, the car's powerful, the industrial things that light up in the, you know, in the warehouses and stuff are powerful, they're not as powerful as us. We are energy, right? And we don't get energy. We release energy. People talk about food gives you energy. I've not ate a thing all day. I feel absolutely incredible. And I'm ready to just go and help people and serve, right? Because desire is the triggering mechanism for releasing energy. And that's why I think it's so important to have a goal on a goal card, something that you really want. Because when you have that desire, and you always find the energy. Yeah, I think that's powerful.
Just to go back on the point that I said earlier, I just wanted to clear it up because people were there's like a kind of open loop there when I said about placing too much importance on it. Have you read a book called Reality Transurfing?
No.
Good?
Good?
Really good, really good. But it's like esoteric teachings, metaphysical stuff, and it kind of does loop into this a little bit, right? We're not going to go deep into it because I actually done a call last night with my clients about it. Planned for it to be a 45-minute call, ended up being a 90-minute call, bro. I was just fucking spitting the
Yeah, it gets like that with clients though, right?
Literally.
Yeah,
but so like the whole concept of like you can't have something before you unless you don't already if you don't already have it, you can't have it. You can't have something you don't already have, type thing, right?
What do you mean, like if you don't have it on the inside, you can't have it on the outside?
Well, that's exactly the principle, yeah, 100%.
Okay, yeah.
But the person that already has it doesn't need it. Whereas when you're saying, I love money and I almost want more of it, and it's this kind of want, I've confused that sometimes when I'm reading books and when I'm looking at these kind of guys that teach it.
Yeah.
They say that you shouldn't have too much of a strong desire because this creates space between you and that thing.
No, I don't think so.
So you don't, that's like a completely different...
No, I don't think so because I feel like I am already the person that's achieved my goal. But desire is the starting point of everything.
But you're not coming from a place of needing it.
No.
You're coming from a place of having it.
Yeah, I'm coming from a place of it's already done.
Exactly. So you are coming from a place of having it.
Yeah. I'm coming from a place of having it, but the desire's still there.
Right. So it's just a different thing. So it's like needing it is coming from a place of not having it, and therefore you'll never have it.
Yeah. No, I'm completely detached from it.
Okay.
I'm completely detached.
Perfect.
I'm completely detached from the goal.
Right.
Like it's done.
Right. So you don't want the money. It's not coming from a place of want.
No, nothing like that. When I say we all want more things. You know, if we get a nice car, we're probably going to want a better one in the future. If we get a nice house, because we're always seeking expansion and expression, right?
So the law of the human being.
Yeah, human nature, right? But yeah, when I say I want more money, I know because for me to accumulate more money, I've got to serve more people. And for that, I've got to grow into a different human being. I've got to become him. Makes sense?
Yep.
So I'm always trying to grow my level of awareness, but never coming from a place of not having. I think the secret of manifestation is not a game of getting, it's a game of feeling like you already have it.
Yep, exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
But not to a point where, okay, I already have it, so I don't do fuck all. You know, that's where people go wrong. Okay, I visualized it. I've got it in my mind. I don't need to do anything. It just comes to me. It don't work like that.
I think in manifestation, people like confuse desire though. Like, I think they confuse that desire is bad because if I desire it, then I'm wanting it. And if I want it, then I don't already have it. So desire for you is just that strong emotional connection, that drive to...
Yeah, desire is the first step. Well, want is the first step. Then you get emotionally, one is conscious. You're thinking, okay, I want this, I want this home. Then you start to think about it. You look online, you see pictures of it. Then you get emotionally involved with it. So the one is conscious, the desire is subconscious. Now you're emotionally involved with it. You desire it, right? The next step after desire is you keep desiring it. You keep doing auto-suggestion until you've convinced yourself you're going to have it. You convince yourself. Yeah, it's happening. And once you believe it's going to happen, that's when the magic really happens. But then after desire, there's another step, which is discipline. You know, there's lots of homeless people that desire a home, broke people that desire money. They never get it because they lack the discipline. Discipline is the ability to give yourself a command and follow it through.
Yep.
You know, most people are not willing to do whatever it takes. Some people say to me, well, Joel, what's it going to take to reach my goal? Listen, your goal's going to take whatever it takes. I don't care what it takes to reach my goal. I'm reaching it. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah.
I put discipline down to identity.
Okay.
Because you look at someone or consistency, but discipline is required at the start. I think discipline is something that's required at the start. Maybe there's a little bit of willpower. Yeah, and then you form a habit, and then the habit becomes automatic. But then it's really down to who you are, isn't it, though? Because the bodybuilder doesn't need to try hard to be disciplined to go to the gym because he is a bodybuilder. That's his identity.
Yeah.
So ultimately, when you have that like desire for something, then you get that emotional attachment to it. Then you use auto-suggestion, like you're saying, that repetition of like, I've already got it. Then you become the person that has it.
Yeah.
So your identity shifts. And then the actions become a byproduct of who you are.
100%. Yeah. So you're just using the word identity like I'd use vibration. So you become the person that has it. Emotionally, you feel like you've got it. And if we feeling, it's just a word that we made up to describe conscious awareness of vibration. So if a person is feeling broke, or if I speak to someone and go, how you feeling? They go, I'm feeling terrible. What they've really just told me is they're on a terrible vibration. When they're on that vibration, all they can attract to them is terrible things, right? Which they need to be aware of. So the goal is to feel like we already have it. And that's why I think everyone's primary focus on life should be to convince your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Because your subconscious mind controls your feelings.
100%, because I was reading Think and Go Rich, and I was getting confused because he was saying like to have a desire for something that you want to have, but then act as if you have it. So you're like a bit mindfuck. You're like, do I have it or do I not? But the whole point of what Hill was doing was Hill wrote for two minds. He wrote for the subconscious and the conscious mind. Yeah. And he wanted to engage both. So through engaging the conscious mind, which needs a specific measurable goal anchored in time. So by X day I will have. And then for the subconscious mind, which only responds to emotion and imagery in the present tense.
There we go.
I now see and feel this money in my possession. So he mixed the two intentionally. That way the conscious mind has direction and the subconscious mind has belief.
Fantastic offer.
And that's what do you know what I mean? Fucking legend.
Incredible. But that's what he's saying in the statement.
Yep.
By the 1st of January, I will have in my possession. He's not saying I have.
No.
You know, with our statement, we're not saying I have in my possession, right? We're saying I will have in my possession £1 million, which will come to me in various amounts, right? However, then we say I believe I will have this money in my possession. Yep. My faith is so strong that I can now see this money before my eyes. When you see that money before your eyes, your subconscious mind thinks you've got it now. Everywhere I'm driving, I've got my money with me. It's just with me on my lap. It's just so easy to see because I've done that statement so many times, right? So yeah, consciously we're saying I will have it because it's easy for the conscious mind to accept.
It needs direction.
Yeah, instead of I have it, but then your subconscious mind sees it in present tense. Another important part with that written statement as well is when we turn around and say, I will give the best possible quality and the best possible quantity of service in the capacity, right? We need to see ourselves handing over the product or service. So for me, when I activate a thinking into results client, I see you just activated a TIR client. And I see a WhatsApp picture with the participants guide saying, I've got access to it. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So the subconscious mind is actually seeing you give the product in return for it and then the money as well.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I mean, I don't really have a plan. I mean, I kind of have a plan. I do YouTube videos. I reach out to people. I give call to actions.
You know what?
Yeah, I know what. I have a vague plan that I follow, but I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. You know, and we never will. If we do, we have a B-type goal, right? And in the end of that, you know, I'm awaiting a plan. You know, I sit in bed every night. I'm expecting the plan. I know it's going to come. Oh, yeah, but how do you know it's going to come, Joel? Nah, mate, get out of it. I see you. I release you, mate. This is happening. I'm unstoppable.
That's where faith comes in.
Yeah.
That's a really cool little thing that you just...
I see you. I release you.
That's good, but more so the point of you still have that. You still have that voice that says it.
1,000%.
And most people are like, well, Joe's sitting there looking for
nah.
But like you're always going to have that ego, whatever you want to refer it to, the old self. You're always going to have that voice in your head that tries to convince you that things aren't going to work out. Well, how's that going to happen? But in a really cool analogy that Layla Hermosa used was she still has that voice. She's fucking like caked. Like, they're on road to being billionaires, right?
Yeah.
She has that voice in her head, and like the analogy she uses is it's almost like there's her head or her mind is like a house party, and inside the house party is like all of her like positive thoughts and all these kind of things, and then knocking on the door is this voice, right? Yeah. And instead of like get away and like in the analogy like don't come in, she lets it in. She's like welcome to the party. You're saying like go away, but the way she does it is almost like inviting it in because it has no power type thing.
Yeah. No, I don't. In my mind, I don't say go away. I was saying that out loud. In my mind, I say, I see you, I release you. Every time I see you, I release you. Thank you for that. Or I'll also I see it as me and a child. It's the old me, right? The paradigm's gonna constantly fight you. It's gonna constantly fight you, right? You've got to take strong conscious control over your thinking. So I will say, I see you, I release you, and then I'll also let myself know that I'm safe. You know, I'm excited because this goal's what I really want, and I'm scared because I've never been there before.
Yep.
You know, Bob studied this for 50 years. He used to say, like, every time I set a goal, it scares me, and I get that little voice saying, you know, come on, Bob, you've got millions, and, you know, you don't need the hassle. That's what the paradigm will do. He'll use great excuses to try and talk you out of it. So, yeah, the doubts are normal, and your desire is what's going to push you through, man.
Well, you said that was an inner child, which is really, like it, because it actually is. And especially if it wouldn't happen in terms of like money. Well, if you grew up with the wealthiest parents and every opportunity was like given to you and there was so much money, you wouldn't have those doubts around money because you would never know what doubts around money is.
Yeah,
so
true.
ultimately, as adults, we're all trying to avoid feeling like we did as a child. But as children, we form these defensive mechanisms. So when we have this resistance towards growth or money or whatever it is your inner child trying to avoid feeling like they did when you were a child.
Yeah.
If you've grew up around poverty or not having a lot of money. So ultimately, the first step, and we've literally covered this multiple times in this podcast, but the first step is awareness.
Yeah, 100%.
So you'd be aware that that is the inner child coming in. If you weren't aware, you'd just be controlled by it. And then you'd go into this emotional reaction. Again, we've not really got the time, but Reality Transurfing speaks about these pendulums. Maybe we can speak about it when we're having some steak.
Yeah.
Because it's really interesting, but it's all the same fucking story. Like the things that you teach, the things that...
Same principles, man.
Same thing. It's the same result that you get as long as it's taught and applied correctly. So, but the first step to all this is awareness, isn't it? And that's why we're doing this podcast. You know what I mean?
100%. Awareness is everything. So if you're aware you're having doubts, that's an amazing thing. Because some people aren't even aware they're having them, right? Sure. Awareness is everything, man. I remember Bob once said, or it might not have been Bob, but I believe it was Bob, or I might have actually said it. If Jesus actually believed that he could walk on water, he actually could have, you know. It's possible.
Yeah, infinite.
It's possible. If he was aware of how to do it, it's possible. Because before the iPhone, before the aeroplane, if we were sat here 200 years ago, and I said, if someone could be in the sky, you'd probably look at me like you just did. Do you know what I'm saying?
100.
If he was aware of how to do it, I think he did it. If he was aware of how to do it.
And he truly
believed it.
If you didn't believe he did, if they say he did, then you would probably be going against everything that you stand for, because it is like anything is possible, isn't it?
Yeah.
When Bob Proctor was saying about I've already got millions, well, I don't need to push this far. It's cool to understand that. I think you told I heard this from you, Kyle. But for every level, there is a new devil. And when you get to a certain level, we are habitual creatures, so you will normalize the stage you're at. 100%. And then there'll be that same voice of doubt come in, just in a different way. Just talking about, you don't need 100K a month, you're making 10K a month.
But you've been there then.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what it is.
Exactly. And the cool thing about that is the principle remains the same. Doubt will always be there. It's just having the awareness, the accountability, the auto-suggestion of the right things to overcome it. And just when you feel the deep gratitude that you feel when you can truly visualize the life that you're working towards, it's like nothing can overcome that. That's so fucking powerful. My chest expands every morning, every night when I read this statement to myself. And I get this overwhelming feeling of gratitude, and I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it, bro. It's so good. It's so cool. I use that analogy of the iPhone all the time. See, when I've got a client that's got a little bit of doubt coming in, I said, right, listen, shut the fuck up. If an iPhone, this complex fucking iPhone, at one point didn't exist, and that was an idea that turned into this mad... Because if you open up an iPhone, it's fucking mental. Like,
it's like a computer there, right?
It's ridiculous, and the power of it is actually, like, unbelievable. You cannot believe it. And they can't make 50K a month.
Yeah.
And they can't make millions of pounds in the future, right? It's like, it's actually unintelligent to think that you can't.
Yeah, it's just self-imposed limiting beliefs.
It completely is.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's holding them back.
And I'm looking at you looking at me now because we had a quick back and forth before we started
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
You're like, "Okay, we need to shift the paradigm," which I will after this chat we've had, because it's been
we'll talk for
powerful
sure.
reinforcement. But it's silly to believe that you can't achieve everything you ever want. Look at an iPhone.
Yeah, you can have anything that you want. You can have. You really can. You know, you might not think you can, and that's why you've probably not got everything you want, but you really can have everything that you want. And for me to be in the position that I'm in today, same feelings as you, just forever grateful. You know, it's funny as well because some people say, you know, when they achieve something in the outside world and someone asks how it feels, and they'll say, well, you know, I felt like a millionaire forever. I felt like I had the Lamborghini forever. There's still a different type of feeling when you have it in your outside world. There's a little bit of a different feeling.
For sure.
When you hold it.
When you actually have it.
When you actually have it, you know, you can feel having the watch on. But when you actually buy the watch and you put it on and stuff, there's a little bit of a difference. But if I always say to people, look, I'm living proof. Like if someone like me can do it, anyone can do it. I'm not the smartest tool in the book. I've just applied myself and I've learned to understand who I am. I'm a spiritual being and my DNA is perfect. And if I can hold something, if I can, the image that I hold on the mind, the image that I hold on the screen of my mind most often is what's going to express itself in circumstance. So I'm just always constantly, where are my thoughts right now? Goal, oh my God, it's happening. It has to happen. It's my dominant thought. You know, it's powerful and it's exciting.
It's so good, bro.
You know,
it's amazing. It's so good. It's so fucking good. And just again to reinforce, you may take the information from this podcast and they may apply it, and it'll be really good.
Please do, yeah.
But there'll be weeks where nothing fucking happens, or the old negative beliefs you thought last week are still giving you shit results, and then you're like, well, this isn't working, and like we spoke about that echo effect, right? What causes the experience that you have are the things that are going on in your mind, right? The things that you're thinking about, the things that you expect, the things that you believe in. The effect is the experience that you have. There's an echo effect. There's this period in time that it takes for the results to materialize, right? And you need to be taking action for it to materialize. For that idea to become a physical thing, a creation in physical life, there needs to be physical action taken. So if you spend 2 weeks taking action, thinking positively, believing in the right thing, and no results come into your life, and you stop fucking thinking positively and acting like you're never going to get it. You're always
so true.
The analogy of, like, imagine you're in a restaurant, you ask the waiter for food, and just before the waiter gets to the kitchen, you shout them back and you ask them for more food. And every time they nearly get to the kitchen, you're not even giving them a chance to let the fucking waiter give the chef the order for the chef to make the food. You're not even giving them a chance for them to get the food and bring it to your table. And that's what you're doing with your results. If you don't have faith and gratitude in between the period of time of these new beliefs, thoughts, and actions that you're taking, and then letting the results materialize. You don't need to know.
Love that.
You don't need to know how to get it. You just need to know that you want it. And then you need to pick up Think and Grow Rich, read that fucking book about 10 times.
Yeah, don't put it down.
Watch Bob Proctor as much as you physically can, and just persist with it. I think the logical, rational mind, it will fuck a lot of people. And that is what fucks a lot of people. That's why a lot of people stay within their means. The ideal life that people want to live, like Bob Proctor gave a statistic of most of the people, they never live the life that they want to live. How fucking sad. How miserable.
Crazy, right? Conformity, though. What's that? What's that? Who says that? George Bernard Shaw. The people in life are not cowardness; it's conformity. People are just doing what everyone else is
Believing
doing,
what they're told,
thinking what everyone else is thinking.
If
I see 99 people walking that way, and I see one guy walking that way, I'm walking that way. Like 97% of the population don't have a clue what they're not driving the car they want to drive. They're not living in the house they want to live in. They're not earning the money that they want to earn. Like, don't follow other people. You've got this. This is another thing before we wrap it up. You have to be. I'm very selective about who I spend time with. I don't care if it's a family member. I don't care if it's a close friend from school. If you're not goal orientated, if you don't know exactly what it is that you want, you're not allowed in my vicinity. You know, and the reason is that I don't want to catch what you've got. We really do emulate the people that we spend the most time with. That's probably why I sound a lot like Bob, because I just spend time listening to Bob, soaking in Bob, right? If the 5 closest people to you are experts in ice cream and you don't know fuck all about ice cream. You stay around them for 6 months, you're gonna know your shit about ice cream, you know. So get around some goal achievers and switch up your environment, man. It's really important. But to change your environment, you've got to change yourself. He says in Think and Grow Rich, when he's asking you questions about yourself, he says, if birds of a feather flock together, what is your friendship group telling you about you? Because most people will be like, oh, I've just got friends that just talk shit all day and gossip. No. What are your friends? Like energy attracts like energy. What are your friends telling you about you? It's interesting that, right?
It's beautiful. No, it's fucking facts, 100%. One more thing before you go as well, right? Beliefs or decisions was a concept that I got introduced to recently. And if you've had a negative belief or something that's held you back, imagine you believe that you can't go to the gym. Someone's had that limiting belief before. The moment they decide to go to the gym is the moment that belief disappears.
Smash the belief in its face.
One decision.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
One action.
Decision. One decision to then be that person. One decision to do a different thing completely removes that belief and the power of the belief. So ultimately, beliefs are decisions. Make a different decision, your beliefs are going to change. You're watching this as well. You know the truth. If you're listening to what we're saying, us linking up with Joel out of absolutely fucking nowhere just because we
Joel, by the way.
Joel.
Yeah, you got it. Joel?
I said Joel.
No, you said Joel.
Us linking up with Joel.
There we go.
Is nothing more than us all just resonating with the truth, the same truth. I think the only real truth, to be honest, and we're not the first people to do this, like millions of people stand before us having applied these laws, understanding applied these laws and completely created the life that they want. I think we need a part 2 done in Manchester or something like that.
Yeah, man, come Manchester. I'd love to host you guys.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
100%, that'd be amazing.
Sick. But Jack was saying though, if you're watching this and you feel this when we're saying it,
you feel it. You feel it in your balls, man.
There'll be links.
Be a woman.
I love it.
There'll be,
if you're a woman, you might not feel it in your balls.
Right, okay, but there's links in the description though. Joel's Instagram, Joel's YouTube, we'll put them in the description so people can...
Yes, if I can help in any way, always happy to be of service.
100%. And mine and Jack's Instagram. And ultimately, us three are all open to inbox, DMs, if you have questions.
Anything about
genuinely do it because it's fucking... Like, I'm so more than open. I've not really said my piece on what I really teach more in the last episode that we've done. It was Joel had the stage today pretty much, but ultimately, if you message us, you're in for a really, really good conversation because we all have conviction in what we're saying. We're not just copy and pasting things, we're actually experiencing this as well. Joel's helping people scale their business, I'm helping people triple their revenue, Jack's applying this to his own life and seeing big fucking results from it, so...
No, I'm proud of you, man. It's incredible to see.
It's the truth, bro.
It's incredible to see 2 youngsters doing a thing.
Yes, sir. And really the shift that you've had as well, it's crazy, bro.
Yeah, major shifts, right?
Well, you'll see my shift because from when we connected is like such a difference, but you as well, bro. Like from Gucci bags to shirts, bro. It's fucking,
Gucci bags to Dior bags, still kind of got it in me, Anna.
Yeah, got to a little bit. Yeah. But appreciate everyone's time and attention. Really, really good.
We'll see you on the fucking next one, cunts.
Let's go.